The morning sun unfurled slowly over the quiet valley where Deep lived, its soft, golden beams sifting through delicate layers of mist as if the world itself were waking with a gentle, sleepy sigh. The valley was always hushed at this hour, birds trading early melodies, the river murmuring far beyond the fields, and the breeze carrying the simple, comforting scent of soil warmed by the sun. James had always loved this place. Here, life breathed differently. It was a world untouched by corporate negotiations, untouched by deadlines, untouched by the heavy expectations that shadowed his every step in the city. And now, as he stood outside Deep's small wooden house, hands tucked quietly into his pockets as he waited for her to return from the market, he felt something he rarely allowed himself to feel: calm. He listened to the rustle of bamboo leaves, the distant laughter of children running barefoot across the path, and even the faint, wistful tune of someone playing a bamboo flute near the riverbank. It struck him how easily this place could strip away his armor. Here, he wasn't the CEO's son or the reluctant heir. He wasn't a man constantly surviving boardroom battles. Here, he was simply James. One day, he whispered to himself, "I'll bring Deep in me here, just to watch the clouds drift quietly across the sky." The thought made a small, unguarded smile tug at the corner of his lips, but peace never stayed long with him. His father's voice, cold, sharp, and unforgettable, cut through the quiet like a blade. "If you insist on marrying Deep, you are no longer my son." The memory hit him with a familiar sting, scraping painfully against his chest even now. His father, calculating and unbending, was a man who worshipped legacy, influence, and bloodlines more than he ever worshipped love. Deep, in his eyes, was nothing but a name without a pedigree, no status, no wealth, no powerful connections. But Deep had something James had searched for his whole life: sincerity. He closed his eyes and let out a long, heavy exhale. He had spent years negotiating with men who mastered the art of smiling with their mouths and not their hearts. Men who lied as easily as they breathed. But Deep smiled with her whole being. She spoke without masks. She loved without conditions. And now, his mother, gentler than his father but still bound by tradition, had begun quietly preparing for a wedding. She believed she could smooth over the storm in the household by rushing the ceremony forward. Her intentions were kind. She wanted harmony, she wanted her son to be happy, she wanted to hold onto the illusion that time could fix what stubbornness refused to soften. But James knew the truth. A wedding prepared in silence could not silence a war. He glanced at the locked door of Deep's home, still empty, still waiting for her return, and murmured into the stillness. "If only my heart were as simple as everyone thinks," because the truth was cruel. He was torn, between loyalty and love, between the family that raised him and the woman who taught him what it meant to breathe, between the expectations he had lived under for decades and the future he wanted to build with his own hands. Yet when he looked toward the dusty road where Diep would soon appear, 2 baskets of fresh vegetables balanced effortlessly on her arms, his heart spoke with a clarity his mind never could. No matter what happens, I will choose her. The wind brushed his cheek as if giving its quiet blessing. Far away, his mother was already choosing fabrics, meeting tailors, and arranging guest lists, but inside James's chest, something else was forming. A quiet rebellion, a promise, a fear he refused to admit aloud. Would love be enough to mend what was already breaking? Diep finally appeared, walking down the dirt path with her sleeves rolled to her elbows, her cheeks warm from the sun, strands of hair sticking stubbornly to her temples. She looked tired. She looked real. She looked like home. And when she spotted him waiting on the wooden bench beside her door, her face lit up in that effortless way that always startled him, as if joy belonged naturally to her. That smile, James thought. That smile is the reason I'm still standing, James. Diep laughed softly as she set down the baskets. Why didn't you wait inside? The door was locked. Did you think I magically teleported away? He chuckled, though the warmth in his eyes dimmed before he could stop it. I didn't mind waiting. The air here, it calms me. Diep paused. Studied him quietly. She always saw him too clearly. Something's wrong, isn't it? He wanted to say no. Easier, safer, quieter. But Diep heard the things he didn't say, the things he tried to hide even from himself. My mother, he began, voice slow, careful, started preparing our wedding. She already talked to a tailor. She wants us to go try outfits soon. Diep's eyes widened, her breath catching, then softening into something shy, warm, filled with a tenderness she rarely allowed herself to show. Really? Already? James nodded, but joy did not reach his face. That alone made Diep's heart tighten. But your father, she whispered. There it was, the fear neither could escape. His father's fury hovered over them like a dark cloud, unavoidable, unrelenting. James looked away, jaw tightening as the memory of his father slamming his palm on the desk replayed like a bruise across his mind. He won't accept us, James said quietly. And I don't know how much more damage this will cause. Diep sat down beside him, the bench creaking under their combined weight. She reached gently for his hand, simple, warm, grounding. I don't need a grand wedding, she whispered. I don't need fancy dresses or big celebrations. I just need you. If your parents accept me, I'm grateful. If they don't, I still choose you. Her words struck him harder than any business negotiation he had ever fought. "But I want you to have everything," James whispered back. "You deserve more than what I can give right now. My company's unstable. My father is angry. Trouble keeps circling us. You should have a peaceful life, Deep, but instead, you get me." Deep shook her head, brushing her fingers over his knuckles. "You are my peaceful life," she murmured. "You just don't know it yet." For the first time that day, the tightness in his chest loosened. They sat there in silence, listening to the wind weaving softly through the trees. But even in the quiet, James's heart kept whispering the same truth. "No matter what my parents prepare, the only future I want is the one where her hand is in mine." The next morning arrived wrapped in warm sunlight, a soft golden blessing spilling into their small routines. James and Deep woke early to help little NHI prepare for school. The child clung to Deep's leg, her voice sleepy and sweet. "I missed Miss Deep so much." Deep kissed her forehead with a tenderness that made James pause. Watching Deep brush crumbs from the child's shirt, tie her shoes, whisper gentle encouragement, it struck James with startling clarity. "This is the future I want. A simple life, warm mornings, laughter drifting softly through a small home." A family. After dropping NHI off, James drove Deep to a bridal boutique, one his mother swore was the best in the city. Deep didn't know where they were headed. "Where are we going, James?" she asked, eyes curious. "You'll see," he teased. "Another secret?" She pouted. "A small one?" Inside, the boutique shimmered with crystal lights reflecting off rows of wedding gowns. Soft music filled the air, sweet and delicate. Deep froze. "James," she whispered, breath trembling. "This place, it's too beautiful." She looked almost afraid to step any further. The staff welcomed them warmly, guiding Deep to the makeup chair. James stepped back, watching as the stylist curled her hair, dusted blush onto her cheeks, and tied a delicate ribbon behind her head. He had seen Deep muddy, sweaty, tired, her hands smelling of vegetables she harvested before dawn, and she had always been beautiful. But here, she glowed. When she stepped out in the first gown, a gentle white dress that flowed like water, James forgot how to breathe. "Am I beautiful?" Deep asked shyly. He swallowed. "You're radiant." Deep twirled slightly, the dress shimmering like a whisper of moonlight. As she tried more gowns, something heavy settled in James's chest. His father's words returned again and again. "Marry her and you are no longer my son." The thought of losing his father, the man who shaped him, taught him, raised him, felt like a painful wound. But the thought of losing Deep, that would destroy him. Later, when Deep stepped back into her simple clothes, glowing with gratitude, she whispered, "I never thought I would wear a wedding dress. Or be loved like this by someone like you." James said nothing, just pulled her into his arms, holding her against the fear clawing inside him. Because while his father's objections weighed on him like a storm cloud, his heart whispered something louder. "I will fight for her. Even if it costs everything I once belonged to." He knew then what he had never dared admit. His life would break without her. His future would collapse. She wasn't a choice, she was the answer. The drive home was quiet, not from fading joy, but from something deeper settling between them. Deep leaned her head on his shoulder, the city lights reflecting softly in her eyes. "James," she whispered, hesitant, "what if your father never agrees?" He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. She wasn't afraid for herself, she was afraid for him. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled over beside the lake where they had once weathered their hardest days. The air carried the scent of wet earth and faint jasmine. "Deep," he whispered, "do you know what I felt when I saw you in that wedding dress today?" She looked up, eyes wide. It felt like the world finally made sense. Her lips parted, trembling. "But yes," he admitted, voice thinning, "my father is angry. He doesn't want us to marry." "And it hurts more than I thought." Deep's eyes softened with worry. "I don't want you to lose your family because of me." James cupped her face gently. "No. You didn't take anything from me. You gave me something I was missing, something my father never understood." He breathed slowly. "You gave me peace. A home. A future I actually want." A tear escaped Deep's eye. "I only have empty hands," she whispered. "I only know how to harvest vegetables. I never thought I was worthy of great love." James pulled her into his arms before she could say another word. "You are the only woman I've ever been certain about. The only future I want. The only one my heart will choose over and over." She clung to him as if anchoring herself in a world that had never once offered her certainty. Then he spoke the words he'd carried for months. "Even if my father refuses, even if he says I am no longer his child, I still choose you." Deep gasped, tears trembling. "And when he realizes that loving you makes me stronger, not weaker, he will understand." She pulled back to look at him, eyes shining. "Do you truly believe that?" "I don't just believe it," James said softly. "I feel it. Every time I look at you." He placed her hand over his heartbeat. They sat there, wrapped in an intimate silence that said more than words ever could. I will wait, Deep whispered at last. No matter how long it takes. Just trust me. James lifted her hand and kissed it. I don't just believe in you, Deep. I believe in us. And for the first time in a long, heavy season, the fear inside him loosened. Replaced by something steady, something fierce. A love that would wait. A love that would fight. A love willing to stand against time, family, and fate itself. The wedding might still be far away, his father's heart still locked behind walls, but James finally understood what his own heart had been saying all along. Where Deep is, that is where my life belongs.